The Mandalorian and Grogu. The Mandalorian and Grogu stands at the center of this new phase for Star Wars, serving as a direct continuation of Din Djarin and Grogu's journey after the events of Season 3. Directed by Jon Favreau, the film shifts the focus from the episodic adventures on Disney Plus to a large-scale theatrical story set firmly within the New Republic era about 5 years after Return of the Jedi. With the series' 4th season delayed by production setbacks, Lucasfilm chose to prioritize this film, aiming to bring the core storyline to a definitive conclusion while leveraging the established audience of the Disney series. The narrative picks up with Din Djarin and Grogu traveling together, their father-son bond tested by new threats and responsibilities. Grogu, still training under Din's guidance, is expected to play a more active role, with his developing Force abilities likely to become central to the plot. Din's duties as a protector and ally to Mandalore continue to shape his path, while the shadow of Grand Admiral Thrawn looms over the New Republic, threatening to destabilize the fragile peace and draw both heroes and adversaries into a larger conflict. Returning characters confirmed for the film include Grogu and Zeb Orrelios, with early footage revealing moments such as Grogu interacting with the Anzellans, the return of a Razor Crest style ship for Din, and the expansion of the film's cast. Sigourney Weaver joins as Ward, a colonel leading the New Republic's Adelphi Rangers, while Jeremy Allen White voices Rada the Hutt, Jabba's son, marking a nod to legacy Star Wars content. Johnny Coyne reprises his role as an Imperial warlord, adding to the film's ensemble, with a theatrical release set for May 22, 2026. The Mandalorian and Grogu is positioned to close out storylines from The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka, while setting up the next era of interconnected Star Wars storytelling. As the Mandoverse approaches its cinematic peak, the franchise continues to evolve, preparing to spotlight new corners of the galaxy and the complex figures who shape its fate. Maul, Shadow Lord. Shifting focus to the criminal underworld, Maul. Shadow Lord is an animated series set to debut on Disney Plus in 2026, exploring Darth Maul's efforts to rebuild his power base in the early Imperial era. The story takes place roughly 1 year after the Clone Wars finale, a pivotal moment that finds Maul newly adrift after his defeat by Ahsoka Tano and his severed ties to the Sith. With Darth Sidious now in control of the galaxy, Maul operates outside the boundaries of both the Empire and the dwindling Jedi, seeking to regain influence and authority through the networks he once commanded. The series traces Maul's attempts to restore the Shadow Collective and Crimson Dawn, criminal organizations that played major roles in his earlier rise. As the Empire consolidates its grip, Maul maneuvers through the chaos, leveraging the power vacuum left by the Republic's collapse. The trailer unveiled at Star Wars Celebration 2025 showcased Maul training a young 20-year-old who resembles Darth Talon, forming new alliances with bounty hunters, and engaging in intense combat with Imperial Inquisitors. These glimpses hint at Maul's determination to survive and expand his reach, even as he faces threats from Imperial enforcers and rivals within the underworld. Sam Witwer returns as the voice of Maul, ensuring consistency in the character's portrayal and emotional depth. The animated format provides room for visually striking action sequences, emphasizing Maul's mastery of the Force and his signature double-bladed lightsaber. Beyond the battles, the series will examine Maul's psychological state as he obsesses over vengeance against both Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Sidious, while the galaxy shifts into a new era of uncertainty. As the Star Wars timeline moves forward, the franchise introduces new stories in the aftermath of major conflicts, setting the stage for unfamiliar faces and unexplored territory. Star Wars, StarF Fighter. Star Wars, StarF Fighter shifts the focus to a standalone adventure that explores a galaxy adjusting to the aftermath of the First Order's defeat, set several years after the destruction of Exegol. The film introduces a 15-year-old protagonist and their uncle, portrayed by Ryan Gosling, as they navigate a galaxy where old alliances have fractured and new dangers emerge. Their journey is shaped by personal stakes and a mission that could influence the fragile balance of power across newly unsettled regions. In this post-Exegol era, the collapse of the First Order has left a power vacuum, with various factions vying for control in frontiers once untouched by war, now facing instability. The protagonists encounter a pair of imposing new adversaries, with shifting loyalties, suggesting a more nuanced approach to good and evil than the stark divides of the past. Early concept details point to confrontations that test the character's resolve and blur traditional moral boundaries. Directed by Shawn Levy, whose previous work balances action and character-driven storytelling, Starfighter stands apart from interconnected projects by offering a self-contained narrative. The film is designed as a lean, contained story, providing an accessible entry point for newcomers while still retaining the core themes that define Star Wars. Exploring the unrest that follows the fall of the First Order, the film promises to reveal how ordinary people respond to the galaxy's changing landscape and what new threats may arise. With a theatrical release scheduled for May 28, 2027, Starfighter represents Lucasfilm's effort to expand the franchise's reach and test the appeal of stories beyond the Skywalker legacy. This approach sets the stage for the next wave of Star Wars storytelling, where familiar characters and new faces alike confront the challenges of a galaxy in flux. Ahsoka Season 2. Ahsoka Season 2 continues the story of Ashoka Tano and Sabine Wren after their unexpected stranding on Peridea, a distant galaxy with deep connections to ancient Force lore. As they search for a way home, they must navigate the mysteries and dangers of this new environment. Meanwhile, Grand Admiral Thrawn and Ezra Bridger have returned to the main Star Wars galaxy, creating a new balance of power and setting up a confrontation that could shape the New Republic era. Thrawn's consolidation of his forces signals a potential resurgence of Imperial influence, while Ezra's reappearance after years of isolation promises to affect both allies and enemies. The second season will develop Sabine's growth as Ahsoka's apprentice, drawing from her legacy in Star Wars Rebels. Peridea's role expands, with the world's ancient ties to the Force and the presence of the Night Sisters offering new challenges and opportunities. Dave Filoni has confirmed that the Mortis gods will play a significant role, connecting to the mythos introduced in the Clone Wars and Rebels and hinting at further exploration of the world between worlds. These elements position Peridea as more than a backdrop. It becomes central to the galaxy's ongoing conflicts and the deeper mysteries of the Force. Rosario Dawson, Natasha Liu Bordizzo, Lars Mikkelsen, Emin Esfandi, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead are confirmed to return, alongside Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. Rory McCann will take on the role of Baylan Skoll, with Ivana Sakno reprising Shin Hati. As the series builds toward Dave Filoni's larger Mandoverse film, Ahsoka Season 2 stands as a pivotal link between the established legacy and the evolving future of Star Wars storytelling, preparing audiences for the next major chapter. Untitled Charmine obeyed Shinoi film. Amidst the shifting future of Star Wars films, the Untitled project from director Charmine Obaid Chinoy stands out as a direct continuation of Rey Skywalker's story, set 15 years after the events of the Rise of Skywalker. With the galaxy still recovering from the Final Order's defeat, Rey moves from her role as the last trained Jedi to the architect of a new Jedi Order. The film explores how Rey balances honoring the Jedi legacy with forging a new path, taking on the responsibility of training a new generation of Force-sensitive individuals. The narrative promises to address lingering questions from the sequel trilogy, including the construction of Rey's own lightsaber, her evolving relationship with Force ghosts, and how she interprets the lessons of both the Skywalkers and the Jedi who came before. The galaxy Rey inhabits remains wary of Force users, shaped by the turmoil caused by the Skywalker and Palpatine legacies. Political resistance and skepticism toward the Jedi persist, challenging Rey not only externally, but also in her own understanding of what the Order should become. The story is poised to examine the evolution of Force traditions and the recovery of star systems from galactic conflict, while hinting at new threats that could emerge in this post-war era. Daisy Ridley's return as Rey is confirmed, and she has suggested the film will be filled with new discoveries as Rey rebuilds the Order. Behind the scenes, the film's development has been marked by frequent changes in writers, including Damon Lindelof, Justin Britt Gibson, Stephen Knight, and now George Nolfi, and the removal of its original 2026 release window. This reflects Lucasfilm's cautious approach in shaping the franchise's post-Skywalker direction, as the studio works to ensure a strong foundation for the future. As anticipation builds for how Rey's journey will continue, Star Wars prepares to shift focus once again, this time to a different corner of the galaxy, where long-standing storylines converge. Untitled Dave Filoni film. Dave Filoni's Untitled film stands as the true culmination of the Mandoverse storylines across Disney+. This project is designed to bring together the interconnected narratives established in The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and the Book of Boba Fett, weaving them into a single, decisive chapter. The central conflict will focus on the escalating struggle between the New Republic and the Imperial Remnant, with Grand Admiral Thrawn positioned as the primary antagonist. Thrawn's tactical brilliance and long-term vision set him apart from previous Imperial threats, challenging the fragile order of the galaxy and raising the stakes for every character involved. What distinguishes this film is its scope and narrative ambition. Characters who have been developed across separate series, Din Djarin, Ahsoka Tano, Sabine Wren, Ezra Bridger, Bo-Katan, and Boba Fett, are expected to unite for the first time on screen. Their alliance is the direct result of years of layered storytelling and unresolved arcs, such as the fate of Ezra Bridger, the restoration of Mandalore, and Sabine's ongoing Jedi training. Filoni has indicated that while the New Republic and Imperial Remnant conflict remains central, the film will avoid a simplistic good versus evil dynamic, instead exploring the complexities of a galaxy still reeling from the collapse of the Empire. Grogu's evolving role within the Force is another focal point, with his potential likely to play a significant part in the outcome. Filoni's leadership as the architect of this era ensures continuity and depth, drawing on his extensive work in the Clone Wars, Rebels, and the live-action Disney Plus series. The shift from television to a theatrical format allows for a broader visual scale, more ambitious action, and a cinematic resolution to years of interconnected stories. Currently in long development, with no confirmed release date, the film will serve as the capstone to the Mandoverse, rewarding dedicated viewers and closing out this chapter of Star Wars storytelling. While the Mandoverse prepares for its conclusion, Star Wars is also preparing to chart new territory, looking further back in time than ever before to explore the origins of the Force itself. Untitled James Mangold film. James Mangold's Untitled Dawn of the Jedi film shifts the Star Wars timeline to its most distant origins, set 25,000 years before the rise of the Jedi and Sith. In this era, the Force remains raw and undefined, with early civilizations only beginning to sense its presence. Mangold's story focuses on how the Force was first discovered and understood, long before the familiar divisions of light and dark. The director describes his approach as a biblical epic, drawing direct inspiration from the Ten Commandments, which signals a tone of grand, foundational storytelling and significant emotional stakes. By anchoring the narrative so far in the past, Mangold and co-writer Beau Willimon have the freedom to introduce new worlds, species, and philosophical ideas without the constraints of established lore. The absence of a formal Jedi Order allows the story to explore the roots of Force traditions and the experiences of early Force-sensitive beings. While the film may touch on ancient concepts like the Wiles or civilizations, such as the Zepho, its primary focus remains on the origins of the Force itself and how it shaped the earliest cultures in the galaxy. Mangold, known for his character-driven work on films like Logan and Ford Ferrari, aims to tell an emotionally resonant origin story that prioritizes character arcs over dense exposition. The project is in active development, with Mangold and Willimon working on the script and Kathleen Kennedy producing. No production start date or release window has been confirmed, and the film remains in the scripting phase. With Lucasfilm continuing to broaden the scope of Star Wars storytelling, projects like this demonstrate a willingness to experiment with new creative voices and unexplored territory. Untitled Taika Waititi film. Taika Waititi's Untitled Star Wars film stands out as one of the most enigmatic projects in Lucasfilm's current lineup. First announced in May 2020, the film remains in active script development, with no confirmed plot, characters, or timeline placement. Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy has praised Waititi's creative vision, sharing that she enjoyed the first act of the script, but acknowledged the difficulties of aligning his schedule with the studio's plans. Waititi's numerous commitments and the deliberate pace of the writing process have contributed to ongoing delays, but Lucasfilm continues to express confidence in his approach. Waititi is attached as both director and writer, recently collaborating with Tony McNamara on the screenplay. His involvement with Star Wars is not new. He directed the Season 1 finale of The Mandalorian and voiced IG-11, demonstrating his ability to balance the franchise's dramatic stakes with comedic elements. His signature style, blending humor and emotional depth as seen in Thor Ragnarok and Jojo Rabbit, has led to speculation about the kind of tone he might bring to Star Wars. While official details about the film's story remain scarce, Waititi has stated that he intends to introduce new characters and explore previously unseen areas of the galaxy, aiming for a fresh and unexpected perspective, rather than relying on established lore. The project's uncertain timeline reflects Lucasfilm's willingness to accommodate Waititi's unique creative process, even if it means a longer development period. This approach is consistent with the studio's broader strategy of inviting distinctive voices to shape the future of Star Wars. As the franchise continues to evolve, attention now turns to other ambitious projects in development, some of which may have an even greater impact on the long-term direction of the saga. The Untitled Simon Kinberg Trilogy. Simon Kinberg's Untitled Star Wars trilogy represents one of the largest open questions in Lucasfilm's cinematic plans. Kinberg, who will write and produce alongside Kathleen Kennedy, brings substantial experience from his work on Star Wars Rebels and as a consultant on The Force Awakens, giving him a strong foundation to expand the Star Wars universe in new directions. The project remains in early development, with no confirmed release date or finalized creative direction. Sources conflict on whether Kinberg's trilogy will serve as episodes 10 through 12, potentially continuing the Skywalker saga, or launch an entirely new saga set in the Old Republic era. If it continues the Skywalker narrative, the trilogy could address the future of Rey's Jedi Order, the political landscape after the New Republic, and how the galaxy moves forward after the events of the Rise of Skywalker. Alternatively, a move to the Old Republic would allow for exploration of ancient Jedi-Sith conflicts, the rise and fall of legendary Force users, and the origins of galactic traditions that shape the modern era. Either direction would require careful navigation of established lore and fan expectations. Kinberg's background in working with complex, interconnected storylines positions him well to handle whichever path Lucasfilm chooses. However, the lack of a definitive public announcement or internal finalization highlights the studio's ongoing challenge in determining the next major chapter for Star Wars on the big screen. As Lucasfilm weighs these possibilities, the franchise stands at a crossroads, facing the opportunity to expand into new eras, stories, and perspectives. So which story are you most interested in seeing explored? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more Explainerverse videos just like this one.